Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Thursday, the 2nd of January. India's Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister hopeful of restoration of statehood in coming days. Pakistan assumes seat at UNSC, rakes up Kashmir issue. And Bangladesh court denies bail plea to Hindu monk Chinmoy Krishnadas. And now for all the details. Chief Minister of India's Jammu and Kashmir territory, Omar Abdullah, on Thursday expressed optimism of statehood to the border region. Addressing a press conference, Abdullah said the status of a union territory is a temporary phase, adding that the union government had promised statehood as soon as possible. Abdullah said his government gives the statehood promise utmost importance because it was for this reason his party got the mandate in general election. He added the Supreme Court in its verdict had also directed statehood for Jammu and Kashmir, and 1 year has passed since the judgment. That's enough reason and time for the statehood, he said. The northern Indian border region was stripped of its statehood along with its special status in 2019 after the Indian government bifurcated it into two federally administered territories. The region held its first assembly polls earlier in September 2024, in which restoration of statehood and special status were key promises made by several political parties.
ज़्यादा लोगों ने इलेक्शन में हिस्सा लिया। अब हम जम्मू कश्मीर के बाशिंदे, हम जो यहाँ के रहने वाले जो हैं, अब हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि इलेक्शन में लोगों ने हिस्सा लिया। अब उसका कुछ ना कुछ तो लोगों को इसके बरक्स मिलना चाहिए। और सबसे बड़ा वादा जो जम्मू कश्मीर के लोगों के साथ अगर मरकजी हुकूमत ने किया है, वो जम्मू कश्मीर को दोबारा रियासत का दर्जा वापस देने का वादा है। तो हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि इसमें वक्त नहीं लगेगा।
Moving on, Pakistan on Wednesday replaced Japan and took the seat of Asia Pacific region at the United Nations Security Council for a period of 2 years. Talking to state media agency APP, Pakistan's permanent representative to UN, Munir Akram, said Pakistan's presence will be felt in the Security Council. According to Dawn News, Munir also made reference to Kashmir and said they will highlight the Kashmir issue during the 2 years, aiming to get attention at Global Forum, a matter of concern for New Delhi. Another headache for India will be designation of Pakistan-based terrorists, as along with the non-permanent seat at the UNSC, Pakistan has also secured a seat at the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee, the body responsible for designated individuals and groups as terrorists and imposing sanctions. While Pakistan doesn't have a veto, it will have a significant say in designating terrorists and wield influence over the Sanctions Committee, along with support from veto-wielding ally China. Meanwhile, Pakistan authorities on Wednesday said that a peace agreement was reached between two warring parties in Kurram district after more than 3 weeks of efforts to broker a ceasefire amid sectarian violence. Representatives from the Alizai and Bagan tribes signed the 14-point agreement agreeing to demolish all private bunkers and surrender heavy arms to the administration. Sectarian clashes between the two tribes resulted in the killing of 133 people. Chief Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Ali Amin Khan Gandapur, welcomed the agreement signing, stating that the provincial government's efforts for a peaceful resolution yielded fruitful results. He called it a significant step towards a sustainable solution in Kurram. The clashes between the two tribes started in November last year after an attack on a convoy of passengers in which 47 people were killed. Moving on, locals have lamented Gilgit-Baltistan continues to remain neglected as Pakistan government has kept the youths in the region bereft of any job opportunities while failing to bring about any development to attract the private sector.
Despite its pivotal location as a gateway to the multi-billion-dollar China-Pakistan economic corridor, Gilgit-Baltistan remains underserved. Locals blame despite the region's potential, little has been done to foster private sector growth. Youths with high qualifications are left without employment opportunities, while businesses are stifled by the lack of enabling government policies.
तो गिलगित बल्तिस्तान का जो अल्टीमेट सॉल्यूशन है इस बेरोजगारी से निकलने के लिए वो ये है कि गिलगित बल्तिस्तान गवर्नमेंट को भी चाहिए लोगों को रोजगार और आपका बिजनेस की तरफ उनको लेकर चले और जो लोग कारोबार करने की कोशिश करते हैं उनको सपोर्ट करे, उनको सॉफ्ट लोन्स फराहम करे, उनको ऐसे स्टेशन और मकामात फराहम करे जहाँ पे बैठ के वो गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के उन प्रोडक्ट्स को बैरूनी दुनिया की तरफ लेकर जा सके। हमारे पास सुस का बॉर्डर है, हमारे सामने है, उसकी यूटिलाइजेशन बिल्कुल ज़ीरो है, बिलखुसूस गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के नौजवानों के लिए उसका कोई भी फ़ायदा नहीं है। इसी तरीके से सेंट्रल एशिया गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के साथ है। कल ही मेरी एक बंदे से मुलाकात भी हो गई थी, वो काज़ाकिस्तान से गिलगित बल्तिस्तान में गैस लाने के लिए यहाँ पे एक प्रोजेक्ट पे काम कर रहा है। तो क्या गिलगित बल्तिस्तान के लोग ये काम नहीं कर सकते, या गिलगित बल्तिस्तान गवर्नमेंट के पास इतने वसाइल नहीं है कि लोगों को इस हवाले से शऊर दे दें? तो ज़रूरत इस अमर की है कि हुकूमत गिलगित बल्तिस्तान अवाम को जो नौजवान हैं उनको बिजनेस की तरफ राग़िब करे, उनको बिजनेस में सहूलियात दे दे।
Locals argue that empowering the youth and fostering an environment conducive to business development could transform Gilgit-Baltistan into an economic hub, benefiting not only its residents but the broader region. However, the government inaction continues to hinder their progress.
And Taliban wants better and increased diplomatic engagements in 2025, the de facto rulers of Afghanistan said on Wednesday. Expressing optimism over improved diplomatic recognition, Taliban's spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid said the de facto authorities have taken constructive steps in 2024 toward recognition and engagement with various countries, yielding positive outcomes. He added, based on these efforts, Taliban authorities are hopeful that more countries will join and establish diplomatic connections. While China and Pakistan already has ambassadors from Taliban, no country has so far recognized the Taliban regime due to its regressive actions and morality laws against women. Media reports says international community has kept formation of an inclusive government, adherence to human rights, particularly women's rights, and assurance that Afghan soil is not used against any other countries as some conditions for the recognition of Taliban regime. Similarly, Taliban has also demanded removal of names from the United Nations blacklist, release of frozen funds, and the recognition of the caretaker government from the global community. Moving on. In a major setback, Bangladesh court on Wednesday denied bail to monk Chinmoy Krishnadas in a hearing held under tight security. Reports suggest Das has plans to approach the High Court. Reacting to the incident, Kolkata ISKCON Vice President Radharaman Das called it a sad news and said that Bangladesh government should ensure that he gets justice. Earlier in December, the court had fixed January 2nd for bail hearing as the prosecution submitted a time petition and there was no lawyer to represent Chinmoy. Das was arrested from Dhaka airport in connection with a sedition case filed in Chattogram on November 25th last year. Bangladesh's minority Hindus, which constitute only about 8% of the 170 million population, have faced hundreds of attacks in 50-odd districts of the country since the fall of Sheikh Hasina's Awami League government. And about a dozen nuns performed hand chops and high kicks, some of them wielding swords, as they showed off their martial arts skills to hundreds of cheering well-wishers at the long-awaited reopening of their nunnery in Nepal. The nuns put on the show of strength to mark the Druk Amitabh Monastery's reopening 5 years after the COVID-19 pandemic forced it to close its doors to the public. The group of Kung Fu nuns aged from 17 to 30 are members of the 1,000-year-old Drukpa lineage, which gives nuns equal status as monks. Usually, nuns are expected to cook and clean and are not allowed to practice any form of martial art. But His Holiness Gyalwang Drukpa decided to train women in Kung Fu to improve their health and spiritual well-being. He opened the nunnery in 2009 and it now has 300 members aged between 6 and 54.
कुंग फू हम हमारे मेंटल और फिज़िकल फिट रहने के लिए करते हैं और हमारा पर्पस है वुमेन एम्पावरमेंट एंड जेंडर इक्वालिटी.
The nuns come from Bhutan, India and Nepal and are all trained in Kung Fu, the Chinese martial art, for self-defense and strength. In the past, the nuns have completed lengthy expeditions on foot and by bike in the Himalayas to raise money for disaster relief as well as to promote environmentally friendly living.
So, as a perspective from a Buddhist side, I think our main goal is to attain enlightenment as Buddha. But for now, as I am like a normal person, I think I would be more focusing on helping others. Like we always say, like helping others is our religion. Whatever is more beneficial for other people, I would like to do that. Like we do a lot of self-defense workshops and we do a lot for environment. I think that would be my goal for now, coming forward.
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.